Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So what a glorious day. Palantir, oh my god. Rocket Lab closed over $5.01. This is the highest price since quite a long time. And I think a lot of investors starts to be over water. Please let me know in the comments if you're still underwater or you're starting to see gains on your Rocket Lab stock. I'm in the green officially at this point. The reason why I wanted to do a video is because I saw an interview with Amit and Matt Money where they talked about Rocket Lab potentially being dead money for the next few years. And I want to show you the segment in the interview, and then I want to give you my opinion on if Rocket Lab is dead money or where do we go from here, what are the risks, because we are still quite early. If you're investing in Rocket Lab, you're still quite early. So I want to speak about these. All I'm asking you to do is make sure that you're subscribed, and I want to give a shout out to the people who are channel members. We have 13 channel members now and 2 or 3 guys on Patreon. So thank you so much. You guys are greatly helping me out. Now let's begin the video.
So basically what I'm hearing is very speculative stock, even though there's a ton of potential. You're sitting on above 20,000 shares and you're willing to literally that money to go to zero because you can afford to do it because you're at that place in life, or you're willing for that money to be dead money for the next 3 years until you see the bounce because you believe so much in the potential. But if anyone does invest in this stock, they have to be ready to not complain over the next 4 or 5 years if it's dead.
So I like the way you put that. I can afford this, right? So 16,000, you might be like, man, this guy's got a lot of, to be honest, 16,500 shares, like, is it a lot of money? Of course it's a lot of money, but am I going to be under a bridge if it goes to zero? No, right? So once again, it always goes back to calculating what's right for you. I've personally have gone to the fact that I think me personally investing $100,000 into Rocket Lab, I am comfortable with losing $100,000.
Yeah.
Because I think the opportunity set is there. And I don't think it's very speculative anymore, right? Mm-hmm. If you were 2 years ago, I'd say very speculative. The step change that I've seen from 2023 in terms of revenue growth to today, just in the fact that you went from like $60 to $70 million quarters. Fourth quarter of last year was an anomaly because they were delayed by FAA, stuff like that. That basically didn't allow them to do 2 more launches at the end of last year. But now they're at a cadence of $90 million plus and hopefully getting closer to $100 million plus a quarter. That's a pretty big step change within a matter of 12 months to be able to go from 60 to 70 million a quarter to now $100 million quarters. Shows me that the company knows what they're doing and they're expanding pretty rapidly and doing well. And their costs aren't getting out of control, right? You know how Palantir, like versus Snowflake, like the difference in cost structure is like completely different. It's very comparable to Palantir. It's like they're growing, but they're being conscious of costs in that respect. Of course, the costs are going to go up. You have more facilities and stuff to be wary of, but it's not like they're getting out of control. They're growing at pace, if it even seems like that. But to go back to answer your question, if you're not going to invest in this company because you think it's going to 10x within the next 2 years, right? You might get a double or triple over the next 2 years, but the real value of this will be the long game. Yeah. Because you're at $2 billion. Where do you think it's going to get to? Do you think it's going to be a $30 billion company, a $50 billion company? I think $50 billion is comfortable for where it is. Do I think there's possibility to get to 200 billion? I think it's a little too early to say 200 billion because I don't think they're going to be as ambitious as to what SpaceX is doing right now. And until I fully understand and comprehend what their constellation is, to put this in perspective as well, Rocket Lab has noted that just like SpaceX, they want 50% of their launches from the Neutron rocket to be for a yet to be determined Rocket Lab constellation. So a Starlink equivalent, but not necessarily Starlink. And I think I noted it a little bit earlier, but is that going to be a cash cow like Starlink? Because Starlink's a pretty profitable endeavor at this point. And, if you think about that, what kind of run rate is that? And what will that generate? Is that going to be hundreds of millions a year? Is it going to be billions a year? What's the gap profitability on that? What's the long-term gap profitability on Neutron if it's going to be a reusable rocket like the Falcon 9? You have all these things up in the air. So I wouldn't say it's very speculative anymore, but I do think 5 to 10 years is at a minimum of 5 years is the time horizon I look at investing in this company. I would say if you're not looking to 2030 beyond, don't even look at it.
So this was the part that I wanted to react to. So first of all, I think Matt summarizes it very, very good. The only part that I disagree with is this dead money part, but I understand where he's coming from. So he's talking a lot about portfolio risk management, and this channel I'm also I'm clearly as 50% of my portfolio is Palantir and the other 50% is Rocket Lab. So I don't I have a different type of portfolio management. But I'm also very, very long term. So I open positions of companies that I want to hold for the next 10, 20 years. And I do think that there is a risk that Rocket Lab is going to stay down here for an extended period of time. But I don't think that that risk is so big. So I want to talk to you about something. My favorite form of investing, or when I really like to invest into companies, is when there is the market fundamentally misunderstands a company. So I'm an early Palantir investor. My average is around $8, a little bit more than $8, but less than $9 on Palantir. And at the time when I was investing, it was a company that had a super long growth potential. I think that Palantir can grow about 20 to 30% per year in, I don't know when they will stop, the next 15, 20, 30 years, okay? But on top of it, so the market completely misunderstood what Palantir was, because at the time when the price was at $8, people were talking about that this is not an AI company, this is actually a consultancy, and consultancies have much lower multiples. And then people were talking about that they're not able to turn to a profit and they're never going to be profitable. And the stock price is going to go down to, the 3s, the 2s. And it was just crazy. So Palantir would have been an amazing buy if you're just buying for their growth of, 20 to 30% for the next, 10, 20 years. But on top of it, this is my favorite part of investing, the company was completely misunderstood by Wall Street, and it was like a close to bankruptcy consultancy that is, sort of like posing as an AI company or would like to be an AI company. So, and I truly believe that the valuation went from 8 to probably 20 just on re-understanding that Palantir is an AI company, like the correct naming or, the correct observation of the company. And then from $20, if you're buying today, like really all that you're getting is this continuous growth, right? Like you just buy the stock and you sleep well. But I don't believe that there is another, year where we're going to do this 300% in 1 year, because that 300% in 1 year was just the market understanding what Palantir is. So obviously you took the most risk when you were buying, when I was buying, but somehow it was also the safest time to buy, because where was the stock going to fall? I mean, the stock went from $40 down to $8, and people were so bearish on it. And in my opinion, that was a very safe time to buy. Now, why did I talk about this? I think that it's because it's very, very similar. Rocket Lab also has a potential to grow. I don't know when they will stop growing 20 to 30%. I mean, currently they're even growing 70%. So if you do a DCF valuation, and I have done that, this is what you guys can get access to if you support the channel by joining the membership or Patreon. And I have made certain assumptions here. If you open this Here you can see that I'm calculating with 22 electron launches this year, 0 neutron launches. Next year, 25 electron launches, 2 neutron launches. I should probably update this because I don't think they're going to do 22, maybe 18 this year. But the space systems is very, very muted. I'm only thinking with a 25% increase, and they have been way out performing on this. I just want you to see my assumptions, right? I'm thinking with 3% share dilution. And in 2030, I'm thinking that they will have a $2 billion combined revenue with a 15% GAAP operating margin, which would be a $306 million operating profit. And you put a 40 PE on that, then you get a 12 billion market cap and a share price of $20. Let's call it $20. It's almost $20, right? So now I like to shoot for extraordinary returns, but if you would just put a market return, the stock is all the way a buy for you up to 10. All the way up to 10, it's a buy, okay? But what do you get at $10? Is basically you get a company that you can buy, sleep well at night, and you know that they're going to just keep on growing. But why is Rocket Lab not at 10 today? I mean, that is all the risk that Matt was talking about, that the street thinks that maybe they will go bankrupt. The street thinks that maybe Neutron is not going to work the way that they think it's going to work. Maybe space is not as profitable. Maybe you cannot compete with SpaceX, right? And then they somehow put all these assumptions and put it into the share price. And this is how we went all the way down to $3. But ironically, when you're buying at $3, you have a huge decrease of risk, because if everybody believed that this is just a normal company and they have enough money and they are just going to grow at a 20-30% per year, the stock should be at $10. So it's the street's misunderstanding of what makes the stock so low. And so if the stock was at $10 today, I would say yes, you have a possibility. Then the reason why you're buying is because you like space stocks and you want to be specifically in space stocks, and you think that this company is just going to grow and they will manage the company really, really nice. But if you're buying today, you are buying a huge upside just on the re-rating. You know, when Wall Street realizes like, oh my God, they're not going to run out of cash. Oh my God, they're not a bankruptcy candidate. Oh my God, SpaceX is not going to launch everything every single time. And, you know, nobody's ever going to have another space contract. And all these things are into the price now. But what is the risk that you're taking? So, I mean, again, the risk is somehow out with the stock price, but on the execution, because these things are not clear, you're taking a higher risk. But if you read the book, When the Heavens Went on Sale, you saw the interviews with Peter, you know, you follow the stock, then you understand that these guys are really, really getting things done, you know, under the radar that Wall Street is not noticing. And for me, that takes the risk out of investing in this stock. So I don't believe that at these levels, Rocket Lab is dead money. I think it's a very, very good investment. But I also understand that it's not the correct investment for many people in their positions or for their portfolios. I definitely think that this stock you need to plan to hold for, you know, 5, 10, 15 years. Otherwise, it's just too volatile. Honestly, we might go back down to the threes if Neutron is delayed. Certain things happen. If the Fed is not decreasing the interest rates, we might go down to the threes. And then maybe you have to sit in this for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. For me, it's my favorite type of investment because I'm investing into something that has a great future and is misunderstood by the market. And if it takes that for 2 or 3 years I underperform the market, I'm willing happily to pay that price because we are going to have a super good increase at the other end of this. So that was the video. Please let me know, guys, what you think. Also, let me know if you're above or underwater with your position on Rocket Lab. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member. And I'll see you tomorrow on Rocket Lab Weekly. It's going to be exciting. Ciao, ciao, guys.